Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my opinion. And South Africa have won this game by 7 wickets and take an unassailable lead in the series 2-0. And so, yeah, well done to them. And honestly, this is their third clinical chase of the summer, and they've all been completed by achieved by 7 wickets. And this game, honestly, India would have been confident leading into the halftime break, and in my view, they had honestly all the runs in the world to defend, and yet from very early on in the piece, South Africa just completely just took the ascendancy. And at 288 for three, in the manner that it was achieved, and apart from two bowlers, probably Bumrah and Chahal, apart from those two, everyone else went around the park. And yeah, well done to South Africa. They honestly were thoroughly kind of dominant in this batting innings. And yeah, India scored 287 for six in the first innings, and I think they've batted first in every game in this tour so far. I can't remember who won the toss, but India did bat first. And the opening partnership was a 60 odd between Rahul and Dhawan. Now, Dhawan was the first to go for 29 of 38, and the thing is, as I said in my previous video, I don't think he would get into the side as a first choice opener. In my view, if Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul, in my view, they'd have to open the batting. And so I wouldn't see Dhawan getting into but past those two. But I'm saying that, as I said, he doesn't seem desperate at all. He's just continuing where he left off, and I think that's probably the reason why. We all know the ability he has, but I really think it's the attitude that he's come into the series with that he's getting this success. So yeah, I think a huge well done to him. And the next to go was Virat Kohli, a very anticlimactic dismiss. It was actually a similar one to the one in IPL 2020 when they were playing against Mumbai Indians in the third game. He scored 3 off 11, and he played it was a similar dismissal of Rahul Chahar, caught at the same position. And in this case, one hand came off the bat, and he was caught. And I'm not sure if one hand came off the bat in the other game I'm talking about as well. So yeah, basically almost the same dismissal, and it's very anticlimactic. 0 of 5 for Kohli, and so then the 2 wickets had fell in very quick time, and the opening stand that the runs of the openers put on had kind of been dented a bit, as if South Africa got another wicket, which at the early stages of the 3rd wicket partnership, it looked like they could. I think that it could have been a lot more difficult for India. But I do think one thing that helped India is the fact, obviously Rahul and Pant, they batted very well. But I'm saying that even if there were 5 dot balls in the over, let's say, the last ball of the over was a boundary ball. So they got 4 runs off the over. And in tough batting conditions, when you're trying to build a partnership, and that kind of thing happens, you'll take it. And 4 runs and over in that situation isn't really too bad. And it happened for a few overs, and because of that, South Africa couldn't put that extra bit of pressure on these two players. And then afterwards, some great partnership play was there in this case as well. Rahul anchoring the innings, and Rishabh Pant playing expansively. 85 of 71 he scored. Rahul 55 of 79. With Rishabh Pant, there was one it almost carried for a one-handed 6 where he hit it over long on, and just a one bounce 4. And then after hitting a boundary off Shamsi, the very next ball he hits a one-handed 6 over mid-wicket. It was a very entertaining innings to watch, and as I said, great partnership play with Rahul also kind of being a steady hand. And once again, just like in the other innings, it was a 2nd-wicket partnership between Dhawan and Kohli. In this case, the 3rd-wicket partnership between Rahul and Pant got India into a very good position where you thought they could kind of capitalize from. And I think that the dismissals are once again a bit disappointing. I think Rahul was a very soft dismissal of Magala. He got caught, and I think a kind of a short mid-wicket for 55 of 79, and then not too long afterwards, Rishabh Pant tried to take on Tabraiz Shamsi, and he got caught by, I think it was a stunner of Aiden Markram. And I think with the Rishabh Pant thing, look, you could say two things. If it had gone for a boundary, then everyone would have said, wow, what a great shot. And since he did that, since he got out, it's kind of like, why did he do that? And I don't think in this case it was that much, especially for me, at least for me, and he was kind of, why did he play that shot? Because I think he did score 85. And you could say, okay, it probably does go to the side of why did he play that shot, because the fact is a partnership could have developed. But you know what, my first thing was probably a bad argument. It probably wasn't the greatest of shots, because I think that a partnership developing was integral for India at that stage. And so, Rishabh Pant out for 85-71. And the reason why I think that, I say it was more disappointing was because I know you kind of say I've changed my view on this, but I was kind of sitting on the fence between was it disappointing and was it not. And I think at the end of the day, especially the reason why what I'm going to say is because if you look at the first game and this game, they actually kind of ended up on 180 odd for 4 despite getting a really good partnership between kind of the top and middle order players. So I think that, despite the fact they've got substantial partnerships, they've still ended up with the same kind of position, 180 odd for 4. And as I said, with Venkatesh Iyer at number 6, he isn't a bad player, but I think you saw in this case as well that he did, apart from the 160 hit off a free hit, he did seem a bit sandwiched into a situation, as I said. And I think that, as I said before, of course, look, anyone would like playing for the national team. I was saying, would he really be enjoying this role of a number 6 finisher? Because at this point, he doesn't really look too comfortable. And I'm sure, look, he'd want to kind of prosper in this role, obviously. But I'm saying that maybe it just, at this point, it just feels like the number 6 finisher role doesn't really seem to be for him at this point. He may come good, but I'm saying at this point, it's kind of veering towards the fact that just by nature, he seems like someone who's much better, and I said before as well, to express himself at the top of the order in T20 cricket. And because even when he was in the middle order in the T20 game against New Zealand, he still kind of did a few boundaries off the spinners, but then he did still struggle a bit off Adam Milne. And as I said, sandwiched in the situation which he probably wouldn't really like that. So Shreyas Iyer was the one to be dismissed before him for 11 or 14, and I think he would have been quite disappointed with the way he got out, because you could put Suresh Raina in this category as well, but I'm saying as far as the internationally contracted players, I think that Shreyas Iyer is probably the best player of spin in world cricket. And so for him to get out LBW in that way, I think that he'll be quite disappointed with that. And so if you actually look at the contributions for the lower middle order, you look at 11, 22, 40, 25, and there are actually 20 extras, which in hindsight helped India's cause a lot. I think that despite the fact that you could say there weren't many, obviously, look, the partnership between Shardul Thakur and Ashwin is a brilliant one. But I'm saying, despite the fact that you thought that when the wickets fell, it's the kind of they were kind of when they were 6 wickets down, for example, you kind of just thought India was still putting themselves in a commanding position, or even in a good position to kind of get a score, which would be very challenging to chase on this surface. And I think that if you look at those contributions, I think that they all just got enough runs to push the score along. And I think that India never really lost that position of kind of being able to put a commanding score on the board. And 287 was more than enough runs to defend on this surface. So as far as batting was concerned, I think things went very well. And Lungi Ngidi had good kind of outing as economy rates concerned, with none for 35 and 8. Magala had a bit of kind of an off day, 1 for 64 and 8. Markram 1 for 34 and 8 overs, once again kind of fulfilling this role of kind of being the spin bowler from the top of the innings. And I think that the spinners in this series, if you could say, actually the South African spinners outbowled the Indian spinners in both these two games. And like on the whole, and the thing is, India, honestly, they'd be very disappointed that they didn't manage to defend this, because it became apparent very quickly South Africa were just really on the ascendancy. And apart from 2 bowlers, as I said, Chahal and Bumrah, everyone else kind of got taken to the cleaners. Bhuvneshwar Kumar got hit for 16 by Quinton de Kock, I think, in his first over. And then it was kind of, there were quite a few points when the keeper was up, and especially towards the end of his overs, the keeper was up, and yet, most of the thing, I think the keeper was up, and Quinton de Kock was swatting him away for 6. And as I said before, it's kind of the fact that it's kind of this in-between length just sat up for the batsman to hit. And he had a bit of quite an off day today. And as I said, look, I think that you could easily just say, you could easily just say, oh no, he's giving runs. But then I'm saying, he did have a very good series against New Zealand in the home T20 series, and then he bowled 8 overs, only giving 41 runs. and then he kind of gave 23 runs at the death. So I think that there are still positives, and I just think you won't really see. I understand that you could say whether it be the IPO or whether it be for India, you could say that it's kind of, he does get hit quite a bit more than he used to. In fact, you saw how good he was before, when you'd say that I'd say until 2019 or so, I would say that you never really saw this kind of thing happening to him. Whereas I only really think it's because of the injuries. As I said, he's only kind of getting back into full fitness. Well, rather, or you could say that even now, if he's close to full fitness, which even then I hope it's the truth, but I'm saying that he probably, alongside that, if you're out of the game for a long time, it's the same situation with Hardik Pandya. The fact is that the reason why I don't know why there's this whole clamor about him supposedly underperforming, because if you see how long he's been injured, with the severity of the injuries that he's got, it is very hard for him to perform. And I just think that I don't blame the selectors for giving them both a go, because when they're kind of back to full fitness and full confidence, because they're back to full fitness, because when you give them the license to do what they do, of course they will do it. And I think when they're back to full fitness, that in turn will kind of give them a higher sense of confidence, and we know what both these players do, and that's why I'm saying I don't really think it's that much of a concern. I know it may look like it's a concern that he's going for runs, but honestly, we've seen what Bhuvneshwar Kumar does. When how good, for me, he's the most versatile bowler in the world. He can bowl with a new ball and he can bowl with the death. And I honestly think that in all my time of watching cricket, I've never actually seen someone who is a new ball bowler and then transition to be just as, or not even transition, added death bowling, and it kind of to the same degree as new ball bowling. I honestly think that apart from Bhuvneshwar Kumar, I've not seen anyone else do that. So I think it's the most versatile bowler in world cricket, and I'm sure that we saw the fact that I thought he had a very good series against New Zealand in the home T20. So I'm sure that this is just kind of a bit of a. I'm sure he'll get back to kind of doing what he usually does. And that was on him. And then pretty much everyone else kind of got hit. I thought that Chahal actually bowled quite well. They were actually playing him well. And considering that 1 for 47 and 10, you take that. It's actually a very good performance. Bumrah 1 for 37 and 10. Really kind of a. I should talk about the partnerships for South Africa. The partnerships for South Africa, because once again, great partnership batting with Janeman Malan really kind of playing the. He kind of scored boundaries when he kind of thought he had to, or thought he could, and then Quinton de Kock with 78 of 66. He got out in a pretty disappointing way. And I think the score was on 132. It was a full toss of Shardul Thakur, who surprisingly after that he was taken out of the attack and only came back in when the game was almost done, and he gave 3-4. So I didn't understand that, but I'm saying the opening partnership really made a statement. And Janeman Malan was unfortunately dismissed for 91. He deserved 100, and Bumrah got him out, and he honestly 1 for 37 and 10. Chahal 1 for 47 and 10, with the only really two positive signs for India with the ball. And so Temba Bavuma 35 of 36 has been in brilliant form this series, and Aiden Markram number 4, and I think if you look at it, it was 214 for 3, and at that point you thought, could India get a few more wickets? Not probably win the game, but I think could they get a few more wickets? And I think that honestly, the Aiden Markram and Rassie van der Dussen, they kind of for 1 or 2 overs, they kind of just played it out for a few overs, or rather just was relatively circumspect, and then they just kind of started resuming, proceedings kind of resumed, and it wasn't really slam bang, but I just think they got boundaries effortlessly. Both scored with 37 of 41 for Aiden Markram and 37 of 38 for Rassie van der Dussen. And I think for Aiden Markram, I'm not surprised he scored these runs, because honestly, I felt like in a test series he faced some really good bowling, and I think as the series went on, you look at the way he got out in the last innings of the third test and the first innings of the ODI. I think those two not great dismissals were kind of as a result of him not feeling confident for getting the low scores previously. But the low scores previously, you could say a few of those really weren't entirely his fault. and I think that they set doubts in his mind. So I'm not actually surprised that he's come back here and scored this 37. He looked very good. It was a ready-made situation for him to come and play, and he did just that. And Rassi van der Dusen, once again, he hasn't been dismissed this series. 129 and then 37 here. And honestly, yeah, clinical chase for South Africa, and yeah, they've won the series 2-0. And I really think that, honestly, they've won the Test series, honestly, with 2 resounding 7-wicket chases. And then they've won this ODI series comprehensively. I mean, the Test series, you could say, even though the 7-wicket wins, it wasn't easy by any means to kind of get those runs. And despite the fact that even when they were in a kind of a precarious situation the first game, they recovered brilliantly with 296. And then you look at in this game as well, you see the fact that they chased this down with such ease. And I think that they were also helped with the Indian bowlers not really kind of being that great on the day. And also in the previous game, the Indian batsmen, they kind of got themselves out. So yeah, I think that a combination of South Africa playing well and India really kind of looking a bit off this series. And I think that for all the reasons South Africa would be happy for winning both these series, I think that India would be kind of disappointed for those reasons. Because I'm saying they lost the Test series to a team with De Villiers, Faf du Plessis, Quinton de Kock, Vernon Philander, Dale Steyn briefly, but yeah, I wouldn't really count that. Those kind of players, Hashim Amla, they lost the Test series 2-1. And you thought with the way they won the first game, they could have probably done something. Now, I thought, as I said, it wasn't really the third Test loss which was thinking, because as I said, South Africa would have probably won that game with the way things went. India still did, I thought, quite well until the last kind of innings to really keep themselves in the game. But I do think South Africa, things just went the way of South Africa, and the fact that they made sure India didn't get the totals that they kind of would have liked to get at the opportunities. And so yeah, they would have probably won that test anyway. But I'm saying the second test was where India would be really disappointed. And I also think that, and I'm saying this because it's all going to come to something I'm going to raise. And then the ODI series where you see in the first innings, they really just, I don't know how they'll be really disappointed by the fact that they didn't chase that down. It looked like a really big score, and I think India batted that well that they honestly got themselves in a position where you thought this could be chased down, and in the end they just 180 or 138 for like 1 or 2 to 188 for 6. So we're really disappointed by that. And in this case, having a bucket load of runs to defend, honestly, they had no excuse for not defending this. And yet they just got absolutely brushed aside in that second inning. So I really think that they were quite a bit off in these last 2 games. I wouldn't really say the Test series. Like I said, it was very quite. I know it says 7 wickets, but it was quite an evenly contested series. And then I'll probably say in these 2 games they've been off in the bat in the first innings, the first game, and then the ball in the second game. And yeah, I think there's a topic which kind of people say about the captaincy. Now you could say that, but I'm saying in both occasions, in the second Test and in this second ODI, I don't think the bowlers have actually helped KL Rahul in the way that they've bowled. I think that they have given runs, and I think that after a while, KL Rahul wouldn't have wanted his bowler to give runs, but they did. And you could say the puzzling decision, the one decision for me that was puzzling was the fact that Shardul Thakur, after getting the wicket of Quinton de Kock, he wasn't persisted with, and instead he basically, he was introduced back again when the game was basically done, and he gives 3 fours. So yeah, I just think that was a bit confusing, but as I said, I think that the other bowlers still had off days, and I think the reason why, including Thakur, I would say, apart from that one over, okay, it wasn't that bad today, but I'm saying if you look at Ashwin, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, and apart from that, I just felt, this is quite a bit of a flat bowling performance from India, bar 2 bowlers. And I feel like, coming back to the point that I was saying, the bowlers didn't help KL Rahul either, despite the fact that you could say that under KL Rahul's captaincy, the team hasn't quite looked like it did under Kohli. I know it's only 2 games, but you could say, especially in this game, they just looked a bit kind of flat. And yeah, again, I don't want to blame him too much. He's a great player, and which is kind of irrelevant to this argument. But I'm saying that, as I said, it's not like after a while, the bowler's having an off day on both occasions that he's captained this in 2 out of 3 times that he's captained the side. I don't really think you can blame him that much for that. And even then, you could say conceding 296 in the first game, to a certain extent, India would be disappointed by that as well. So you could say the bowlers haven't really helped him. But I think that, calls like the Shardul Thakur one, and also the one where Siraj bowled in the end of the second test when you knew he wasn't fit. You could say decisions like that were a bit... I didn't really understand them, but it is kind of what it is. And I'm sure, look, Rohit Sharma, when he comes back into the team, I'm in no way a disrespect to KL Rahul's captaincy. Again, I don't really think that he would be a bad captain. I'm just saying that I can still see him coming good. But I'm saying, look, I'm sure that this is they're just kind of transitioning into a new form of leadership. So I think that they'll be quite disappointed by the fact that they've lost these 2 games in the ODI series. As I said, they'll probably be more disappointed. In my view, I actually was more kind of surprised they lost the ODI series and the Test series, because I thought Test series, even before a ball was bowled, it could have gone either way. You saw both with the attacks that both teams have, and with the kind of the low scoring nature of the series, it could have gone either way. But in this case, I really think it would have been disappointed, because it was kind of a combination of South Africa playing well and India, honestly, just in key moments, kind of losing. So I think that if you look at this game, South Africa have won this series, and honestly, there's another thing which I was going to talk about relating to India, which is the fact that I said before that in my view, Shikhar Dhawan wouldn't be the first choice opener kind of in the ODI side at this point in time. And there is an argument you could say, which is the fact that if Rishabh Pant is gonna bat at number 4, you could say take Shreyas Iyer out, unfortunately, put KL Rahul at 5, and Venkatesh Iyer at 6, Thakur at 7, just pretend for the next game. And then you put Shikhar Dhawan, who's playing really well, in the opening slot. Because if you could say the middle... I still think the current middle order they have will come good. I think it's a bit of kind of... I think if you kind of disrupt that and put an already established player in the middle order slot... I know it worked when India toured Australia, but I'm saying that I think that it would kind of... I still would want to see Shreyas Iyer in the middle order in this team. But I'm saying for 2 reasons. One, KL Rahul or any other slot apart from opening, in my view, is quite frankly just because he can bat at other positions. You could say that Shikhar Dhawan could be in a team that could give an extra thing of assurance. But at the same time, KL Rahul in his opening slot, I honestly think that right now... Honestly, Rohit, Rahul and Kohli, for me, is the best top 3 I've ever seen in my almost 11 years of watching cricket. So, I think that, honestly, for me, I just wouldn't disrupt that combination at all. And despite the fact Shikhar Dhawan, I feel bad that he wouldn't be in my side. I think that you can't really... If you've got players like Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul, that's the only case where Shikhar Dhawan wouldn't be in the ODI side opening the batting. But unfortunately, it is what it is. But you could also say, as I said, KL Rahul did a great job in Australia batting at number 5. And Rishabh Pant at number 4. Then you could say that Shikhar Dhawan opening the batting, it did work in Australia. So I'm saying that you could go that way. But I'm also, as I said before, I think Hardik Pandya was a big miss. And I'll say it again as well. I think in all formats, the value he offers. And I think that in this IPL season... I'm even more excited to watch the season, because I honestly think that along with CSK, and I have a soft spot for RCB as well, but I'm saying I like all the franchises, but I'm saying that I wouldn't even mind if it's CSK versus... In fact, I prefer it for CSK versus Ahmedabad final, because I'm actually really excited to see Hardik Pandya the captain. And I just think the value that he offers in a side in all 3 formats of the game, honestly, for me, when he's fully fit, I would rank him... probably, in my view, you could say it's a bit biased, but I would actually say it's potential to be the best all-rounder in the world. And so, but he probably does, because I'm saying that, look, I really think that, especially in this ODI side, as I said, he could have offered a more refined option at number 6. I think it would have been more suited to batting at number 6, playing that finisher role that Venkatesh Iyer was. And I think with bowling also, okay, with the pitch kind of being a bit tacky, you could say Venkatesh Iyer could have offered something, but... And the overs that he bowled, maybe it's because today the the bowlers kind of got hit everywhere, so you could say it probably wasn't the greatest day to assess his impact. But none for 28 in 5 overs. And I just feel like Hardik Pandya bowling his overs as well. He also bowls some kind of good slow deliveries. So I think that he would have also been good on this surface. Jadeja, as I said before, and I'll say it again, I'm kind of repeating myself here. The fact is, I don't really think too much of his white ball bowling as such, unless the ball's gripping. And I think that I say that because honestly, in the surfaces that they've played so far in Pau, I think that Jadeja would have been a real asset at number 7. So yeah, I think that in this series he would have probably played at number 6, and I think that in this you could probably see that would still that could still go. So I think that you could say that there are a few combinations that India could go with, but I personally wouldn't want to just put Rahul in the middle order, because I just feel like Shreya said you have to try him. I just don't think I just think right now it'd be a bit of an overreaction to just disrupt something which you are trying out. And I think that, as I said, Shreya said the best player of spin in world cricket. And that's why I think him at number 4. That's what I'm saying. If Shreyas is in the team, I do feel that he has to bat at number 4. Despite the fact you could say it's a positive move that Pant's batting at number 4. I think that for Shreyas' development, him batting at 4 and Pant batting at 5, and Pant can still bat at 5. So, yeah. And it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But if Pant is gonna bat at 4, then what would probably be the case, despite the fact that I wouldn't necessarily want it to happen. Not about Pant batting at 4, but I'm saying Dhawan would probably be in the team, which, yes, it's good news, but I'm saying that KL Rahul can bat perfectly well at number 5, but I'm just saying that it will be making use of his adaptability in a way that it's still not his best position. His best position is opening the bench. So I really hope they don't tinker with it, but if Rishabh Pant bats at number 4, it will be interesting to see how they go. And you could say Surya Kumar Yadav could also still bat at number 5, and he could. And I'll feel a bit bad for Shreya said, because you'd say he hasn't really done much wrong, but it is what it is. And depending on how they want to accommodate things, it'll be interesting to see if even these changes are implemented in the next ODI. But yeah, so that was this. And after this series finishes, and I'm not sure if there's a T20 series or not, but I'm saying that if there is, then obviously do that as well. But I'm saying that then the IPO auction is on the 12th and 13th, and soon I'll be doing a 2-part video probably on the who I think on the retentions, and also who I think that they could get. So yeah, that's on that. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and please share this video with your friends. And remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?